She opened a case file that had been untouched for nearly 3 years, and the first thing she noticed was not what was inside it, but the warning written across the top in red ink: "Do not reopen." Inside the folder was a single photograph, edges worn and corners bent, a torn map with a location circled twice, and a police summary so thin it felt insulting. Most investigators would have closed the file immediately and moved on to safer work, but she didn't. Her name was Elena Moore, a private investigator who worked alone from a narrow office above a permanently closed bookstore, taking cases most people ignored because they paid little and asked too many questions. The photograph showed a man standing beside a road at dusk, half-turned, his eyes fixed on something outside the frame as if he sensed danger just seconds away. His name was Daniel Reeves, and he had vanished on an ordinary Tuesday evening. No witnesses, no signs of violence, no body. The police had ruled it a voluntary disappearance within 48 hours, claiming Daniel walked away from his life. But Elena had seen enough real disappearances to know one thing for certain: people who choose to disappear do not leave fear frozen on their faces. Elena's first interview was with Daniel's sister, Hannah, who arrived clutching a folder thick with documents she had clearly memorized by heart. Hannah spoke calmly at first, but her voice cracked when she described the night Daniel vanished. He had called her every evening without fail, no matter how busy or tired he was. On the night he disappeared, her phone rang once, and when she answered, there was only silence on the line before the call dropped completely. His phone never powered on again. That detail refused to leave Elena's mind, because phones don't simply die at the exact moment a person vanishes. Tracing Daniel's last confirmed location led Elena to a roadside diner just outside the town of Greyhaven, a forgotten place with one highway, too many abandoned buildings, and a reputation for minding its own business. The waitress remembered Daniel clearly, but hesitated before revealing something never written in the police report: that a woman had been standing across the road that night, watching the diner without entering, hood pulled low, unmoving, as if waiting for a signal. Behind the diner, Elena noticed a narrow service road leading to an abandoned storage facility, where fresh tire marks cut through old dust, evidence that someone had been there recently, long after the case was supposedly closed. At the Greyhaven police station, Elena requested the original case materials and immediately sensed resistance. The officer handed her a thin folder filled with photocopies instead of originals. No audio recordings, no CCTV backups, no raw phone data. Someone had stripped the file down to the bare minimum, removing anything that could raise questions. When Elena left the station, she felt eyes on her. Across the street, a man leaned against a car, pretending to scroll on his phone, glancing up every time she moved. When she crossed the road, he followed. When she stopped, he stopped. And when she turned suddenly into a small grocery store, he disappeared entirely. That was the moment Elena understood the case had not been forgotten, it had been contained. Using an old contact, Elena obtained partial cell tower data and found a single irregular phone ping from the night Daniel vanished, one that did not match his route or habits. It came from Greyhaven's abandoned railway district, a place shut down years earlier after an industrial incident and officially listed as empty. When Elena went there at dusk, she saw something that should not have been possible: a light glowing inside a warehouse with boarded windows. Elena waited from a distance, heart pounding, as a black SUV arrived and parked without headlights. Two figures stepped out, a man and a woman, and the woman wore a long coat with the hood pulled low, identical to the description given by the waitress. The warehouse door opened smoothly, as if it had been used recently, and both figures disappeared inside before the light shut off completely. Elena did not follow them immediately. Instead, she memorized the vehicle, the timing, the silence of the place. When she finally entered the warehouse, the air smelled of dust and oil, and her flashlight revealed drag marks etched into the concrete floor, leading toward a small metal door at the back. Behind it was a soundproof room with no windows and no markings, designed not to keep people out, but to keep sound in. On the floor lay a cracked phone with its battery removed, Daniel's phone. Before Elena could react, footsteps echoed behind her, slow and deliberate. A woman stepped into the room, knelt beside the phone, and spoke softly, almost regretfully. He was never supposed to be found. Elena ran. She didn't stop until she reached her car, hands shaking as she locked the doors and sped away from the railway district. Minutes later, her phone rang from an unknown number. The voice on the line was calm, female, and certain. It told her to leave Greyhaven, to forget the case, and to understand that some people don't stay missing by accident. Elena didn't argue. She didn't threaten. She simply listened, because she knew something now that she hadn't known before. Daniel Reeves had not vanished. He had been removed, and whoever was responsible was still watching. That night, Elena backed up every file, every photograph, every note, and sent copies to people who would not ignore them if she disappeared next. Elena did not sleep that night. Instead, she sat on the edge of her motel bed, laptop open, replaying every detail in her mind. The voice on the phone had not been angry, and that disturbed her more than a threat ever could. It had sounded confident, like someone stating a fact rather than issuing a warning. By morning, Elena discovered something else that felt wrong. Daniel Reeves's online presence was gone. His social media accounts had been deleted. Old forum posts no longer existed. Even cached pages returned errors. It was as if someone was erasing him piece by piece, not just from the present, but from memory itself. Elena realized this was no longer about a single missing person. It was about control, who was allowed to exist and who wasn't. Elena returned to Hannah with what she had found, carefully avoiding details that might put her in immediate danger. Hannah listened calmly, then revealed something she had never told the police. 2 weeks before Daniel disappeared, he had called her in a panic, saying he had seen something he wasn't supposed to see while working late near the railway district. He never explained what it was, only that someone had followed him afterwards. Hannah had begged him to report it, but Daniel refused, saying the people involved were not the kind you reported to the police. That confession changed everything. Daniel hadn't vanished randomly. He had stumbled into something active, something ongoing. Elena cross-checked this timeline and found a disturbing pattern. Daniel was not the only one. 3 other people connected loosely to the railway district had disappeared over the past 5 years. All cases were ruled voluntary, all files were thin, all families were quietly discouraged from asking questions. Digging deeper, Elena uncovered records of a private logistics company that had leased parts of the railway warehouses years after the shutdown. On paper, the company no longer existed, but its shell corporations were still active, moving money across borders in small, untraceable amounts. Elena believed the warehouse was being used not for storage, but for something far more controlled: illegal detentions, off-the-record interrogations, and disappearances that never entered official systems. The woman in the hood was not a criminal in the traditional sense. She was an operator, someone whose job was to clean up human loose ends. That theory was confirmed when Elena received an email from an anonymous address containing a single audio file. The recording was short, distorted, and chillingly familiar. It was Daniel's voice, whispering, "I didn't agree to this." The file ended abruptly, followed by a low mechanical hum. Elena realized this was the call Hannah's phone had received the night Daniel vanished. Not silence, but sound that had been cut off. Elena knew she was running out of time. She contacted an investigative journalist who owed her a favor and scheduled a meeting outside Greyhaven, in a public place that cameras could not be easily disabled. But before the meeting could happen, Elena noticed the same black SUV parked across the street from her motel. This time, it didn't hide, it waited. Elena packed only essentials and left through the back exit, abandoning Greyhaven without notice. Within hours, police activity flooded the railway district. The warehouses were sealed. The official explanation claimed a long-delayed environmental cleanup. The truth, Elena suspected, was that someone was destroying evidence before it could surface. Days later, demolition crews flattened the warehouse entirely, erasing the last physical trace of where Daniel Reeves had been taken. The story broke quietly, not as a headline, but as a series of questions published across multiple platforms. No names were accused directly, but the pattern was clear enough for those who understood how disappearances really worked. No arrests followed, no apology, but something changed. The shell companies dissolved, the logistics routes vanished, and no one else connected to the railway district ever disappeared again. Hannah never received another call, but one morning she found Daniel's watch placed carefully on her doorstep, clean and intact, as if returned by someone who wanted closure without confession. Elena kept the audio file locked away, knowing that some truths don't protect you, they simply warn you. Elena Moore still works from her office above the closed bookstore, still taking cases others avoid. Daniel Reeves was never officially found, and his case remains unsolved on paper. But Elena knows the truth isn't always about answers. Sometimes it's about stopping something before it claims another name. Some people disappear because they choose to. Others disappear because they learn something they were never meant to know. And if you're watching this story unfold, remember this: silence is rarely empty. It's often filled with everything someone doesn't want you to hear. If you want more courtroom-level investigations and real-style mysteries like this, subscribe to Silent Observer, because some stories don't end, they wait.